right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith, with Just the Tips Coaching. And this is really surprising me that we haven't had this guest on the show before. He and I have been friends and running in the same circles for ever. Literally, we were talking about that before we started our live broadcast here, and it's amazing. I think the most amazing parts, at least you guys will certainly have to give us some feedback as to what that is that we're as old as we are, that I still have all my hair, and that he doesn't, which there seems to be this growing gap in that as well, because I just refuse to get a haircut these days. But welcome to the show for the first time, LeRoy Romero. Hey, man, how are you?
Good. I like it. The hair is beautiful.
Oh,
it's great. It's long.
It's Alberto VO5. We're old enough to remember those ads, so I had to throw that in there.
I like it. I would be like the skinnier Danny DeVito if I had that, or curly. If I grew that stuff out.
Yeah, that's true. Or I've always just kind of said it's not really that I'm losing my hair; it's just migrating south to a warmer climate. Because you should see my back. No, I'm kidding.
That's okay.
For those of you really shouldn't see. It's crazy. It was really surprising to me that you hadn't been on the show before. This is our 8th year. We're pretty much booked through our 9th season, and with 40 some odd episodes a year, it really surprised me that we haven't had this conversation before. Well,
I'm excited.
We've been public consumption anyway. And kiddies, this is not for you. This is definitely an R-rated podcast here, or as R-rated as the mortgage space gets, the mortgage and real estate space. But let's jump right in. Give us a little bit of background. Where did you get started? Where did you come from? Why in the world did you think being in the mortgage and real estate space was going to be a good idea? Should we flash back all the way to the core? It may still not be a good idea. So we know you were in the core.
Yeah.
Hoorah.
So, I grew up in a really small town, Hayburn, Idaho, actually. And so from there, a lot of our buddies, we just, we did the silly stuff kids do now. We just didn't get caught and we didn't video it.
We didn't have cell phone cameras.
Didn't have to worry about it. So we got away with a lot of stuff. And so anyways, went to the core, had a good time, trained over San Diego, went to Hawaii. That was all pre 9/11 stuff. So I was very, very fortunate. Never saw combat experience, trained well, came home, went to Boise State, got involved actually in a fraternity, started a sales job with the clothing store, The Buckle, and did that all the way through my 20s until I was about 27, area manager, hundreds of employees. And then I thought, hey, I'm going to have a baby soon. And so I waited until I was 29, I think 29, 28. And I thought, hey, I'll hop into banking. I got banking hours. I don't have to work retail anymore or have to worry about employees. I can just do the bank thing. So went to Wells Fargo Financial and learn how to actually dial during that time. If you remember that subprime time, man, that was crazy, right? Calling people off of their credit cards being open and getting them into refinancing and shortening their term with 3-year prepay and 4 points on the back. So that I would definitely not do again. And so, that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, moved around I went from Arizona to Tennessee to South Dakota during that time, back to Arizona in 2008, 2009. I was sending so many clients over to Wells Fargo Home Mortgage for the proper refinance. I thought, well, shoot, if I'm doing this, why don't I do it on my own? So July of 2000, maybe it was June 2009, I thought, hey, I'll just go into the mortgage business and go from my cushy, awesome salary to commission only. And my wife,
good timing too.
Yeah, it was perfect timing, right? So my wife at the time probably almost left me at that point. Later, we didn't work out, but she was super supportive, and we hit the ground running. We had 4 kids under the age of 8 in the house on a commission only, and she hopped into real estate, and I stayed in the mortgage business. And honestly, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hustle. The whole banking hours was bullshit. And
Bullshit.
it was 7 to 12 o'clock at night, no
Yep.
assistance. And I was very fortunate during that time. My first year out, a full year, 144 transactions, no assistant. So we won't talk about loan volume because that was pretty small during those things. But I got the niche, from the streamline refinance, and so that was really my focus. And then went through some educational things thrown my way. Got my mortgage license. After all that stuff went down, I want to say 2011. I don't know. It was right off the bat. Left Wells, went back to Wells, went to the retail side, and then finally switched over to the broker side in 2019. So I had my license all along and really just focused on the educational piece in about 2026. Shout out to Michael Fisher. Big advocate of Michael Fisher and what he does for education. And he said, "Hey, you're a veteran. Have you thought about this?" And I said, "Yeah, I've thought about it. I had educated a little bit on that side of it, but the education really slingshotted me forward into what I do now." And so I really focused on being a veteran, being very focused on the education aspect of it, and that's where I'm at now.
That's so funny because I would give that same nod to Michael, and the life changes that we've all been through over that time frame, not
100%.
just work changes. It's wild. And I say that thinking, how wild life is, but it's been a long time. We've known each other probably a solid decade.
Yeah.
And credit where credit is due. A lot of the people that you and I run with, a lot of the circles that you and I run in started there. It was probably about 10 years ago that Michael asked me to come speak at an event. We'll dub it the Mortgage Finance and Banking Association, I think is what the public vocabulary is for MFBA. Right. I think
Yeah,
I think that was
times.
the public persona, was the Mortgage Finance and Banking Association. And he asked me to come down to Nashville and speak at the Gaylord for a 2-day mortgage event that was going on. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. And we obviously had a really good time. Had already made a bunch of friends that I got to spend some time with there, made a bunch more that I still run with and am very close with. That was when I met Steve Green, and that was when I met, oh my gosh, David Houck, and that was when I, all these names that are now just old friends and, people that you keep in your hip pocket because they're good friends. But yeah, if it weren't for Michael organizing that event a decade ago in Tennessee, of all places, who knows where we'd all be today. So yeah, absolutely credit where credit is due. So I think I'd like to kind of pick your brain a little bit about not only that kind of an environment, and I know you're doing an awful lot of that, and we've even discussed having you present some of this content at the Mile High Mastermind that we do every fall. But I think it's really important because it's just been irking me since you and I started talking about this, I don't know, 20 minutes ago, that there is still such a gross lack of knowledge and understanding about how some of this stuff works in the mortgage space, particularly the VA mortgage space, which is where Michael has an amount of expertise, and you obviously have a significant amount of expertise. And well, I guess for those of us that have been in the mortgage game for more than a minute, and as I'm rapidly approaching 3 decades of this, it's crazy, right? When I say it like that, I'm like, really? I've been a broker owner for more than 20 years.
Wow.
I have owned my brokerage for more than 20 years. That number is just staggering to me when I say it like that. But I think it's really important for everybody to understand that not only is there this constant need for refresher, reminder, but really initial education on what goes on in the VA mortgage space. But I think when it comes to being a loan originator, if you are really well skilled in that space, and if you're not, please get there. And please be really careful about the loans you're writing until you are. Seek outside help. Call somebody who knows, whatever the case may be. There's so many things that are intertwined when it comes to just being qualified for a mortgage versus being eligible for a VA mortgage. It's almost like two completely separate additional things you've got to know about. But please do know your business, But I think from a perspective of being the loan originator that does know this stuff, the opportunities really abound. One, obviously being really good at them is a unique niche. There are a lot of veterans out there. There are a lot of active military out there that really should be taking advantage of this, which might be the single greatest benefit provided to current and ex members of the military. And the flip side of that, of course, is that there's this enormous opportunity to really educate people on how it works, particularly loan originators educating real estate folks or title folks or insurance folks or whatever the case may be. And it's never ending. There's just a constant population of people that need more information about what this is.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's kind of your
Yep.
bread and butter now. So
yeah.
Let's start again, everybody. Welcome, LeRoy Romero, to the show. So tell us, what is it that you're doing now? Because I know our audience doesn't know, but I see you obviously all over the place doing this work. What is it that you're doing? Why are you doing it? Who's it benefiting? Why is it important?
Well, I think the key thing I want to go back to what you said is and we talked about revolving door of a lot of things, right? So when we think about just agent focus on for the loan officers on here, you've got agents that have gone out of the industry, but you're going to have some come back in, right? We're getting ready to see another shift.
Yeah.
Interest rates are going down.
Turning into a buyer's market.
Into a buyer's market, all that. So we're going to get a new flex or some people that have maybe not practiced in the way that they did before. So education is key. When you look at the veteran community, is the education on it, and maybe the VA is changing. We're trying to change it in different ways that we format, but being in the military, when you're in it, there's so much that you're taking in. You want to build wealth. You're not going to build it in a sense when you're super low, like E123. You could, but you've got to take the right steps. And that education, unfortunately, that does not happen in the military. There's not separate classes. We're just talking about different ways to do things tactical wise. But if the military actually has
learning and training that can go on.
Yeah.
And it is a unique corporation to work for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's
but
a lot that goes on
there is. And if there was just a small sliver that said, hey, how do we prepare you for civilian life and teach you how to build generational wealth while you're here, utilizing this benefit that's available to you, that would be total shift in education as well. So what am I doing right now? Education's key, knowledge is key. And what I mean by that is you do have to dive into your books. You have to have, and there's a lot of organizations out there, right? Michael Fisher has a phenomenal organization. We have VA that has education for loan officers, and diving into those things to understand the complexities of the VA loan and knowing what you do that's the starting point. So really focusing on that. Obviously stuff like this, right? Webinars, podcasts, educational environments, and then you have the face-to-face. So with the market changing, new loan officers that have been here before that are hopping back in there, open up the freaking book, put your head in there, dive into it, ask questions, and knowing what you need to do to serve the veteran ultimately. We've got places out there that lead aggregators, right? The big companies out there that just pay billions of dollars to get the marketing piece because everything is a funnel nowadays. So breaking through that funnel with education is important for brokers or other retail lenders out there because those online people, they don't have that in-depth education, literally pushing veterans away. And when you know the guidelines and what's available, you can actually serve and help that veteran, which is huge. So doing webinars now pretty actively, which is great. Still the face-to-face, a little hot in Arizona to get out there. So yeah, it's a little wild.
It ain't Idaho.
No, it ain't Idaho. I love Idaho right now, but yeah, just that's really my focus, and that's working. And so, anytime that I let go of educating other people, and this is just me personally in my business, is when I stop educating for a minute, my business slipped. I do have a great book of business, but really it's when I serve other people and educating, whether it's loan officers, consumers, or other, real estate agents. It's when I do focus on educating people without putting a dollar behind it on what I need. That's when I see my business thrive.
Of course. Help as many people as you can get what they want, and you'll
Yep.
get what you want. I mean, that's old Zig Ziglar shit, right?
You got it.
And yeah, if you're coming from a perspective of really wanting to help people and educate people, then yeah, the rest falls into place. That's a
100%.
no-brainer. Particularly in that space, it's underserved. We talked before we went live about the fact that it's underutilized, right? I'm still getting into debates with consumers about the fact that they should exercise their VA eligibility, and they don't have enough information to understand why that's so wise. The case that we used, and I'm very, very grateful for some of these changes. We've got an enormous influx of United Airlines personnel as they shift headquarters from Chicago to Denver. And a lot of the pilots are ex-military. That's pretty common. And they're paid fairly well. They're buying nice houses. They have reserves. They're putting big money down. And I'm literally debating, well, why wouldn't you still exercise your VA eligibility on a loan that's going to have a lower rate? In this particular case that you and I were discussing, no funding fee. And obviously the other benefits that go along with VA loans, like no down payment, no mortgage insurance, etc., regardless of your down payment, it's still the better overall financial solution. It's going to provide a much bigger brick in that walking path to greater fiscal health, to bringing retirement in closer, whatever the case may be, whatever your goals are. If you can utilize this product to accelerate that, to bring it in closer, whatever the case may be, then you absolutely should. But here are people that have been out of the military for a long time, working in the private sector, whatever that happens to be, and decades after their service still don't know that this is available to them. Okay?
Wow.
It's mind-boggling to me. I know.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, scratching the surface of where I see a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding, a lack of desire to help this really deserving community. And it blows my mind that we see even more of it in the mortgage space, in the real estate space, these kinds of things where the misinformation and the lack of information is still so significant. I mean, it literally hurts my feelings. I mean, it gives me a pain in my stomach that the real estate community, as an example, just because that's who we're obviously working most closely with on the most repetitive kind of basis, that the real estate community doesn't understand how valuable this is. And let's not even talk about the fact that this is typically the least level, the lowest level of loans that ever go into default, one of the highest levels of down payments, one of the lowest levels of average interest rate. And we still see where a lot of agents and their clients don't think that it's a good idea to accept VA offers, for example. I mean, that still is, it's melted my brain for almost 30 years.
It's mind blowing to me, and you're absolutely right. It's the whole ham story, that's taught over years and generations of, hey, maybe the VA loan doesn't fit in this pot, but we've always cut the sides off the ham because you didn't have a big enough freaking pot. That's the only reason. And it's kind of like the VA loan. It's just that education over time, or maybe a couple bad experiences here. Well, what do they say? The average agent's like 53 years old. Shoot, I'm almost 53, so I got to be careful on that one. But when you look at that whole previous generation didn't have the education or have bad experiences on it. And that's just not the case. Today's VA loan is not my dad's VA loan. It's totally different. And it's the experience. And so, but that has been passed on over years and years and years and years. And so when you have some of those older agents or people that have been in the industry or bad experience or they were told this tall tale of the bad VA loan. That shit's been passed on for forever. And so that's
Generations.
kind of that's our mission. And in the complexity of the VA loan, it's not like it's crazy complex. It's actually pretty badass when you think about the flexibility that you can do. I was talking with an agent on Saturday. She's like, "Hey, we've got this loan, or we got this deal, this house that we want to look at, and the market's slipping here by about 3%. We're going to offer 3% and not, below market value or list price and no concessions." I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, are the comps there?" "Yeah, the comp." "So then offer full price and now ask for 4% concessions." That difference in your drop of your value of your house versus what we can do with 4% concessions. We can literally pay off a car. We can pay
Right.
off.
I was going to say, here's one of the things that's unique to VA. We can pay off debt with seller money.
Yeah.
That's one
It's
that
amazing.
nobody takes into consideration.
So anyways, we structured the office. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 20 years. I didn't know that." "Okay, cool. I'll invite you to our webinar." And so
please attend the webinar. Yes.
Please attend the webinar. It's live. It's
4% is, I mean, even at the 3% mark. Now, we know we can obviously do this with no down payment. We can do this in essence with no closing costs. So to be able to take that rather than offering below ask in this market and use that money to pay off an existing buyer's debt, to take that money and buy down their interest rate. These kinds of things. I would say that the possibility, the flexibility, the options, the creativity that can be put into this giant pot that we call VA loans and mixed around to really identify something specific and unique for each home buyer, homeowner, is so much greater than any other product in order to, maybe barring a HECM, but we'll get into that. So much more unique to provide them with a better long-term financial success strategy that, if you're not taking advantage and you're not helping your active and past military people with this option, well, shame on you. And I only bring up the HECM because same kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's more our specialty these days. We've just been doing a lot of them. The population here demands it. And obviously there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of different options that can go into that as well. And we also have the same kind of synonymity where through the 60s, 70s, 80s, even a little longer, reverse mortgages got this horrible reputation. Rightly so. There were people doing them that shouldn't have been doing them. You didn't have to be licensed to do them. Financial planners were doing them and then telling people to take the money out so they could invest it. And while they're paying, 8% in interest, they're getting a 4% return on the money they gave to the financial planner. And then obviously everything shifts. It becomes heavily regulated. FHA gets heavily involved. The FHFA gets heavily involved. US, the AARP gets involved. The CFPB gets involved. There's so many people, so many governing bodies involved that now it's the most heavily regulated mortgage product on the planet with all these great options. Only followed second by the VA loan. And there's so many opportunities to provide so many creative solutions to provide such a gap in where you could leap, springboard into financial success, a new level of financial success that, it's a generational, historical aspect where these things are not given their due and proper.
Yeah.
Now 100%. I sound old. Who the fuck says due and proper? You'll rue the day. You'll rue the day. Okay.
Oh yeah. That's
wow. I didn't think we would ever describe Gen X as old, but here we are. We're old.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. So, but there's the flexibility with the VA loan it's enjoyable. As a new LO, you start out and maybe you're doing a lot of refinances now, now that the market's kind of shifted, but cash out opportunity. They changed that, and they didn't really change it, but they put that circular out in, I think it was October 2019, where, you now got hit with the penalty if you go over 90%, or an LLPA if you go over 90% loan to value. I would love to see that changed to 100%. Why are you hammering the veteran at, a 1.75% cost just because they're utilizing their equity position? Hopefully that changes. But yeah, the cash out opportunity, everybody, or at least what the reports say, X amount of debt with credit card, but you can still do 100% cash out with a VA loan. And when you got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 worth of debt, but you're sitting on $200,000 of equity in your home, who gives a shit if your rate was at 2.25%, right? You're paying freaking 19% on 50 grand.
Yeah.
Consolidate it. Get that shit out of there, restructure it, change your habit.
That's not unique to VA, though. People do a terrible job of analyzing their true debt rate.
Yep, financial picture for sure.
Versus their mortgage rate. Yeah, and once you see the math, does it make sense that, I'm going to change my mortgage from 3 to 5, but I'm going to change my overall debt load from 15 to 5? That's a big deal. But and that's not unique to VA per se. I think we just do a poor job of educating the consumer about debt. You didn't learn it in school. You didn't learn it in the core. You didn't know how credit cards work or how mortgages work or how to, God, now I'm old. I was going to say balance a checkbook. Who the fuck
What's a checkbook?
What's a checkbook? Okay. Wow. It's not even so much who balances a checkbook anymore. It's what's a checkbook? What's a check? A check. Right. I have had some younger clients have some difficulty delivering earnest money that way, that kind of thing.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, very funny stuff. But I do think that the big picture here, God, we just circle back to this on every single subject in so many of these episodes, is education. We need to keep the consumer informed about what goes on. We need to keep our colleagues, our referral partners, informed about what goes on. And the worst part about this, as time has gone on, is that there's competition in that idea, right? We're fighting a gross amount of misinformation in the media. Right? We don't talk about the fact, and here's a good example. I haven't heard the media, other than what's directed at me because of the way the algorithms work, I haven't heard anybody talk about the fact that mortgage rates are going down and down and down and down. We've hit a low that we haven't seen in years now. The last week has been phenomenal for interest rates.
Yeah.
With the right tinkering of seller concessions and so on and so forth. I'm writing a bunch of government loans, VA and FHA, in the 4s.
Wow.
That kind of thing. And the media doesn't want to talk about that because we don't talk about good news. That shit doesn't sell. So we got to talk about things that might have an adverse impact on the economy, because that does sell. Then, on top of having to fight against the media, we have its evil twin social media, which is even more misinformative. That kind of thing. In fact, I think you and I were participating with another colleague in Florida. He had gotten into a bit of a TikTok spat with a real estate agent who was telling people the only way you can buy a home with acreage is USDA. I'm like, no, you can pretty much buy that property with Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA. You're fine. And her handle, I think, was the informative agent. And it was one of us that said, maybe you should change that to the misinformative agent or something to that effect. It was terrible. But thank you, Andrew, for the hours of entertainment with those kinds of interactions.
He's great.
We owe you one, buddy. We do. But yeah, we are still fighting this fight where education has to be king.
Yeah.
And now we've actually got enemies in that fight. We actually are having to counteract. We have to implement countermeasures to fight a greater amount of misinformation than we've ever had. That's difficult.
Yeah, it really is. When we stop seeing everything as a lead and start seeing people as people and giving them education.
Yeah.
That's what makes the difference in whether or not you're surviving this, but you've been here for
ever.
No offense, but I'm only 15 years in. You double the time, your own brokerage for 20 years. Like, you're the
And I think I
godfather.
might even be a little younger than you.
Maybe.
Well, I'm 50. I'm
It's
50 on the
definitely some stress. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm 47, so I'm catching you. I'm just a little behind. But yeah, I think that the misinformation, and that's why it's so important to either have more content out there, more face-to-face. We've got the AI piece. We could go in another piece on that, which is just amazing. And so you still got to have the human connection and conversations and educations, whether it's live webinars, stuff like that. I think that's cool. And there's a lot of free education. You got to just know what to look for. And that's one of the things I love about VetaVA. And Chris, obviously, he's phenomenal. Nathan, the entire team, the moderators. There's so much education that's already been created, and it's free, so it's huge. For professionals, a little bit different, but we provide that stuff for the community out there. So even like my son, it's a super crazy story, but I got to tell you, I'm super proud of my son already. Wrestles 4.0, great dude, wants to go in the mortgage business. And I said, I would love to talk to you. Are you kidding me? You're going to be 18. He's like, I'll get my NMLS stuff. He's like super motivated about it. I said, that's great. As soon as you're done with the vetted VA courses and you pass all the tests, we can talk about it. And he's like, you're not going to talk about it? And I said, no, because this is where I work. This is my lane. This is our expertise. And if you want to be a part of the team, this will be like the minimum requirement. You got to pass all that stuff first. So he's like, holy shit. So he comes home and he knocks out like 4 classes. He's like, does this count for anything? I said, yeah, it counts for education. So when you go into the NMLS class, and he tests very well, I'm not worried about it, you're going to know this, but you can start building right now your educational platform for the right education for VA loans. So then when you're 18 and you can be licensed, got to graduate or have a GED to actually get licensed in the state of Arizona. So once you get that, you're going to hit the ground running. Start making the videos on the education that you're doing, and then I'll go over the videos with you. You're going to walk into the industry being an educator, and that's where you're going to thrive. So anyways, a little plug on VetaVA because we have that education. It's right education. It's all about the 26-7. That's it. Doesn't change.
And you never hear about new loan officers. That's a big one. So rare that people are jumping into the business, right? I mean, this year we knew that from the peak during the pandemic of nearly 1 million active federal mortgage licenses, less than 100,000 renewed.
Let's go
for 25. I'm proud of him, and I don't even know him.
Yeah, he's a hardworking student. He does have an amazing brain, but that's the focus. He's watched it his entire life. I started in 2009, and 2006 was the Wells Fargo financial thing, but yeah, he's 17 and a half. He was born in 2008. This is his life. He's watched it. His mom's an agent. I'm an agent. Mortgage piece too. So he's like, this is pretty cool that you can take a phone call when you're on the beach in Mazatlán. And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yes,
it's amazing, actually.
That wasn't always the case. I remember years ago taking a cruise on the Mexican Riviera. There was no way I was going to be able to get any work done. It was, a little earlier than the modern day technology. I was sure there was never going to be any cell phone service. We were doing international. The phone was a Nokia, for crying out loud.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So I put the phone in the safe in the cabin. We pulled it into, I think it was Mazatlán, and the safe starts ringing.
Nice.
I was like, wow, okay. I couldn't get the safe open fast enough to answer the call, but neither here nor there. That is a very different animal. And, I'm gonna say this just because it seems apropos for the subject. I get a lot of people calling me evenings, weekends, that kind of thing, and apologizing. Hey, I'm sorry to bother you on a Saturday. So here's the deal. After all this time, having, what's really a strict repeat and referral business, I'm pretty much only talking to people I like.
Mm-hmm.
And after doing mortgages for so long, it really is a subject I love. Now, I know that's crazy, but I know tax attorneys that actually love tax law and who, could possibly love tax law. That's a terrible thing. So when people are like that, I'm like, I'm talking to somebody I like about a subject I love. You're really not bothering me on a Saturday. No problem. Am I happy to put down my housework, my yard work, whatever it is I'm doing to have a conversation with somebody I like about a subject I love? Yeah, I'm good. You're fine. What can I do to help? That kind of thing. So yeah, it's always kind of been interesting to have that conversation, and it's on the regular. People think they're bugging us when no, we want to talk to people about things we like to talk about. That's kind of human nature. All right.
Yeah,
So I warned you.
it.
I warned you that we were going to go over.
Yeah.
Okay, which we have. So I am going to put into the production system to get you booked for another episode. We'll do that next year. Because we have a lot to talk about. We didn't talk about anything technology or AI or social media or really we didn't even scratch the surface on lead gen or client retention or how your team is structured or you being a newlywed or whether or not you're going to join the hair club for men. We didn't talk about any of these things. So we're going to do that. We're never going to cover all of that in another episode either, so it'll be more than one. But yeah, let's absolutely get that on the books. And thank you. I know carving out this kind of time on a Monday morning is difficult right now, so nothing but love. Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
How can we get a hold of you? How can we find you? How can we sit in a webinar? How can I learn more about what you're teaching in this space?
Oh my goodness. Well, LeRoyRomero.com. Obviously, that's my name, first name, last name. I've got all the information on that as well. You can email me, leroy@veteranhomeresource.com. So I kind of have, because I have two different businesses, right? My real estate business and also my mortgage business. A lot of the educational stuff I do comes through that veteran home resource piece. So I can make sure that that entity really works as well. So yeah, you can do that. You can freaking call me. I don't care. 623. Yeah, 623-293-0044. If you have a weird number, it might block you, but no, leave me a message. You can shoot me a message on Facebook. That's a little more of my my platform because I guess I'm old school, not really in the TikTok, Instagram space thing. And so, but I'm kind of getting there, but I think it's whatever Facebook is, VA Loan Master or something like that. VA Loan Leroy, I can't remember. But yeah.
And I was just looking at it. And yeah, VA Loan Leroy.
Yeah, VA Loan Leroy. That makes it easy.
Very cool. All right. Well, don't go anywhere. I'm going to run our extra and want just a couple more minutes of your time. But everyone else watching, listening live or in syndication, thanks for tuning in. You can catch live episodes of How I Met Your Mortgage on Mondays at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. I'm not going to go into that with Leroy because we have no idea what time it is in Arizona on any given day. You guys are on year-round Pacific Daylight, year-round Mountain Standard.
Mountain Standard, but it shifts. We just don't change. We don't like change over here.
Right. So it's 10 in the morning there now.
Yeah.
And in a little bit here, we'll be on the same time zone. Right. That'll be fun for a few months. Only takes me a few months to adjust to daylight savings or going off daylight savings. So, yeah, kudos to Arizona for not changing. In any case, you guys can check us out Monday mornings, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern, live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. 48 hours later, you can catch this as a podcast on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. And if you want to see previous episodes, if you want to catch our weekly video blog, The Weekly Little Tip, if you want more information about books I've written or our annual event, the Mile High Mastermind, go check out justthetipscoaching.com. With that, I'm going to sign off. Leroy, thank you again. Loved having you on the show. We'll do it again soon.
Awesome.